Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our webinar on the FlightScope Mevo Plus and the Golf Live integration. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jordan Vogler, Application and Content Specialist for FlightScope, and the man to my left is one of the co-founders for Golf Live, Mr. Alan Belden. Alan, thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to introduce us to Golf Live and how the FlightScope Mevo Plus users can benefit from a platform like Golf Live.
Thank you very much, Jordan. It's a pleasure to be here and appreciative of the opportunity to share mutual benefits of Golf Live and FlightScope with the viewers today. Thank you. Absolutely.
A little bit of an overview of what we're going to try to achieve during this webinar. It's going to be a brief background of Alan and his teaching history. We're going to get into the Golf Live app, explaining the benefits of how you sign in, how to navigate throughout the app, and then we're going to do a live lesson at the very end so you can kind of get a feel as a FlightScope Mevo Plus user how you would use the Golf Live app with your coach. Alan, let's get into just your background. Teaching professional for many, many years. Just tell us about how that history and that love you garnered becoming a teacher and how that's really impacted this venture now with Golf Live.
So, yes, I'm a over 25-year PGA professional. I've been teaching the game for over 30 years. I think really my love for teaching really comes from my own experience in trying to learn how to play the game when I was younger, right? We all had people that we met, mentors and instructors that encouraged us, right? That helped us to play better golf. And once, to me, like hitting that shot, that one shot and getting that feeling, yes, right? I mean, there's no other substitute for that. And as a coach, to be able to help my clients and players experience that same thing, there's no greater reward. And so, exactly. I could teach every day, all day. I don't get tired of doing it. And my reward is seeing the smile on my players' faces. When they leave a session with me, if they can't wait to go practice and play, then I've done my job.
Exactly. You know, we talked about this earlier. Golf instruction has really changed over the years, especially since COVID. Can you tell us a little bit about the ideation around Golf Live during those early stages to where it is today?
Yeah, so obviously, there's, I'm old. I joke with other coaches that I talk to that, I'm old enough to have had a JC video cart that I used to push up the hill on the driving range. And then obviously through technology advances and mobile devices and applications that where we are today, obviously we're in a very different world than we were, 25 years ago. But the idea behind Golf Live really came from our founder, Keith Cioli. And Keith is an avid golfer. He's at the driving range on a Friday evening. He's got two small kids at home. He's able to break away to just go hit balls for an hour and develops a case of the shanks. I say it quietly, right? And he's like, I want to be able to get help right now. Like, I don't want to wait a week or two to go and see my coach. I want to be able to have somebody take a look at my swing and help me right now. And that is really the premise of how Golf Live came to be. That's where it began. And that was a little over 5 years ago. Ironically enough, it was right before COVID hit. And myself as an instructor, I never really taught virtually, used video, but never gave a remote virtual lesson prior to COVID. And then that was forced on us, yes, by the mandates that we were dealing with during the pandemic. So it was everything kind of happened in the right order. And then I met Keith through happenstance. We've put our heads together over the last 5.5 years to get where we are today. But where we are now is we have the ability to be able to work with students in a virtual platform and provide a high quality experience for the students and the coaches, regardless of where they are.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the benefits that we were talking about earlier. The mission behind Golf Live is instruction anytime, anywhere. And paired perfectly with the FlightScope Mevo Plus, you can use your Mevo Plus indoors, outdoors, on the range, on the course, short game area, putting area. If you are having issues in your game or you just have questions, you can upload and send and request a lesson with a coach anytime and send that video feedback and that data that you have from your recent sessions, and that coach will accurately analyze and see, based on your data, where we can make those changes in their game. Speaking of indoor instruction, I know people might be watching and might have questions. Well, how much benefit can I really get with indoors? Like, far as like an instruction standpoint, if a coach can't physically put his, hands on where, on the body movements that I'm trying to make in the swing, how can I really get benefit working indoors?
Yeah. So, and just to be clear, so, whether it's indoors or outdoors, right, or in person or virtual, like, so Golf Live covers all those
Correct.
spectrums. But one of the questions I do get a lot, because virtual coaching is still growing, right?
Yes.
The vast majority of lessons that are being given today are still being given in person, but that is changing. It is shifting, right? And so the answer to your question is that it is there's a little bit of a learning curve, and there's a learned skill to be able to give a virtual lesson versus in person.
Yep.
I will tell you that the first couple of virtual lessons that I gave were probably a little clunky. I was using Zoom to do it,
Yeah.
right before we had Golf Live. And so it does take some time to be able to communicate with the student in a virtual platform. But what I have learned, and what I share with the coaches that I'm helping every day to get comfortable on Golf Live, is that you have to ask the right questions.
Yep.
You have to demonstrate to them. I want the player to demonstrate back to me to show me that they fully understand what I've communicated to them. And you learn how to present yourself to the camera and communicate a little bit differently than you would in person. But now that I've done hundreds of these, I don't feel that my effectiveness virtually is any different than it is in person.
Yeah. Now, speaking of, analyzing and data-driven company like Golf Live, why is it so important for a company to integrate with a company like ours, Mevo Plus, and the data that it provides to help you as a coach and all the coaches on the platform that can use technology to help analyze and diagnose what is exactly going on with the player's swing?
So there's a few things to that question, but the premise of that is we want to measure, not guess.
Correct.
Right? So the data that is being given to us by the FlightScope, by the launch monitor, allows us as coaches to understand exactly what is happening.
Correct.
Both with the golf swing, what is happening with the golf ball, and then what the student can do to affect that, right? Cause and effect, and what the outcome, how the outcome is going to change. So those data points that are being delivered to me live in real time, which we'll see here in a few minutes, those allow me to truly understand what is happening with the student. And the other thing is that it allows the student to create a baseline, right? So everybody's different. And one player might be, 3 over the top, the other one might be 3 from the inside. And when we are able to capture those data points, develop a baseline, have a conversation with the student on the app around what's going on, what the cause and effect is around that. Then when they go and make changes and they see those numbers move,
Correct.
then they can relate that back to a feel. Right? And so, if you're not getting feedback when you're practicing, this analogy I shared with you earlier, it's like playing darts in the dark.
Exactly.
Right? So, and what the bottom line is, as a coach, is I want my clients to be able to progress and improve in the most efficient and quickest way possible. And so through video analysis and sharing of video and sharing of the data points that we can get from FlightScope, we're going to expedite that process, and your practice sessions are going to be so much more effective. You're going to know what you're working on. You're not guessing or watching a video online and try to apply that to your swing. And the worst thing that can happen is that you watch a video online and it actually works for a week.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
It's like going to the casino and winning for the first time. You think that's the way it's going to be all
Every
the time, right?
yeah.
And that's not true, right?
Yeah.
And so then that wears off, and then you have to go and seek help. And so feedback from a coach with the data points from both the video and what you're getting from FlightScope, it's really the best way to move forward in practice.
Yeah, exactly. And with what the Mevo Plus provides, it gives you every data point that you really need to diagnose whatever area of your game that you really need to work on. I know we talked about it, feel versus real, and just guessing just doesn't do it when you're trying to improve your game. So to have a launch monitor like Mevo Plus accurately track what the club is doing at impact, what the face to path, face to target is doing, low point, angle of attack, combine all that, every coach can now analyze based off the measured data that you can trust with your FlightScope Mevo Plus, and help you move from wherever you are currently at in your game to where you want to go.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of obviously misunderstanding about what is the most effective way to swing the club, how am I supposed to be moving, right? There's a lot of variables that are into that, and there's so much misinformation out there, right? So when we take the data that we receive from FlightScope and we combine that with the video, the coach then can create the proper protocols, right? The drill sets, right? And then when the player gets the feels, like that's for me, like that's the end game, right? Because how many times do I share video with a student and they go, oh, I didn't realize I was doing that, right? Now when I can take that video and show that to them, they go, I didn't realize I was doing that. Well, this is what you are doing. This is the outcome that it creates. We have the data points that are being shared back to us by the FlightScope unit. And then when they start to move away from that and start to make changes, then they relate that to the new feel.
Yes.
And all I care about as a coach is the feel.
Yes.
Once they have a feel that creates the desired outcome, we are going to latch onto that, and that's what we're going to focus on. And that, it just enhances the depth of understanding. I tell my clients all the time, I will never tell you to do something just because. If I ask you to do something, I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
Then when you layer on the information that they're getting from the Mevo Plus, then they can start to be like, oh, now I understand why the ball went left or the ball went right. They relate that back to the feel. And then when they go and hit the next 2 or 3 shots, they can start to watch ball flight, relate it to the numbers. And now it's all makes sense. It's like the light bulb goes on.
Exactly. Let's get into the actual Golf Live app. I know a lot of people will probably be asking, is this a free download or is it paid, like a subscription base? Can you just talk us through like a bird's eye view of the Golf Live app?
Yeah, no, so it's free, completely free for the consumer to just download. We are available in both Apple for iOS and Google Play for Android. Consumers can go and download Golf Live virtual lessons and create their golfer profile. And then from there, they can connect with their coach, right? If they have a coach that they're working with, and if their coach is not on the platform, then they should ask them to be on the platform, right? And so that they can connect with them. But it does not cost the consumer anything to actually have the app on their mobile device.
That's perfect. Well, let's get into, want to get into the live lesson now?
Sure, yeah. I think so John Ballou, who's one of my colleagues, he's in Chicago. I think he's watching, so he's probably ready, but I'm going to go ahead and open that lesson. So we have scheduled a lesson here, and I'm just going to go ahead and open that. And you can see here on this platform here, it tells me everything about the lesson, and I can join that. I can send him a message, but I'll go ahead and open up this lesson here, and then he'll be able to open it on his end. And while he's connecting, I will go ahead. And so I'll just show a couple things here. So I'm going to go and just grab a couple of more data points here, just so the consumers can see this, the viewers can see this while waiting for John to connect. But I have the ability to choose the data points here that will be pinned on the screen. Yes. Okay. So there are 6. Obviously, we have limited real estate on a mobile device, but I can choose whatever 6 that I want, and then those can move wherever I need to. Here on the screen.
And we know we discussed this earlier, but when it comes to proper setup practices for indoors and outdoors, just to make sure that the video quality is good and the angles are right when it comes to the video, within the Golf Live app, it will show best setup practices. Correct? Correct.
Yeah. So whether you're sharing video. If you're sharing video in a swing analysis, right, there are images and there's a little info button that will tell the consumer like what face on is, what down the line is, what the proper camera angles are. One of the really cool things about when I'm on a live call with a student, I can coach them into position, right? Yes. Have them move their device or have them move a little bit, and so that I'm able to see exactly what I need to on the hand path and then on the sternum. So, but we do have tutorials for that as well.
That's perfect. And what I really like about Golf Live compared with, with this integration with Mevo Plus, again, if you are struggling either indoors or outdoors and you're just trying to work on your swing, again, you can get access to a coach real time right when you're out on the range or on the indoors when you're trying to work on your game, and you can upload again all the data, all the swings that you need to your coach, and it's pretty easy to connect to a coach whether your coach is on the platform or you search for a list of coaches that are available. Correct.
So yeah, you can we have hundreds of coaches that are available for people to request lessons with.
Yeah.
if they don't already have a coach. If they are looking for a coach, they can also ask us, right, through customer support. There's a 5 or 6 questionnaire that they'll fill out, and we will play matchmaker, so to speak, and connect them with a coach, depending on what they're looking to accomplish.
Perfect.
Let me come back to this.
And we're pulling up the live lesson feed now. And does all the session history, from all the live coaching that you did, everything saves within platform, and all the lessons that the coach has, far as the tips, the instruction, drawing the lines on the video that they sent, that all that will live within Golf Live?
Correct. So our live replay technology allows us to record the swings in session, and when we do that, everything is saved. So that's one of the really cool features about it. So everything is auto uploaded to the cloud, the entire session, as well as all the video clips that we're creating in the session. You don't have to do anything. So both the coach and the student can go back and review that at any time.
And that's really cool to be able to track your progress and see, your improvements over time, from beginning of when you first started with your coach to several months later on, which is really neat to see. And we had a few questions that came in, specifically asking about a Mevo Gen 2 integration with Golf Live. Really good question. Currently, the development team at Golf Live, they are working on an integration with Mevo Gen 2. Once that integration is fully, finished and we're done with that integration, then we'll move on to integrations with X3 and X3C. There is no timeline on when that will be available, but just be rest assured that that is on the roadmap, and Mevo Gen 2 integration will be coming, very soon. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for that question. And somebody asked in here, is there a charge for coaches to use Golf Live?
Currently, we are offering this to PJ members and some of our strategic partners with no cost to the platform. So there is an option to be able to access the platform, PJ and LPJ members for that matter, with no access to the platform. So exactly. They can reach out to golfliveapp.com support, and we can get you more details on that. But there is an option to be able to access the technology without having to pay for the platform.
Connecting with John.
Okay. All right. Good to go. So you can see here on the screen that the FlightScope data points are populated on the left, and I showed earlier how you can select whichever ones you want, and it's very, very simple for the consumer to start, right? So there's the QR code on the device for them to access the platform, and then once they do that and start session, then any consumer that has a FlightScope Mevo Plus, once they start session, these data points are then shared with the coach immediately in real time. So I'm going to have John go ahead and hit a couple of shots here, and you'll see how this populates. So you can see as soon as he hits the shot, those data tiles change live in real time immediately on the screen for the coach to be able to see that. Why don't you go ahead and hit one more, JB, for me? I'm also recording his swing live in real time. So that's our live replay technology. While I'm recording him swinging there, that data that is being populated is being saved as part of the entire lesson. So if I did a 30-minute session, that entire lesson would be saved, as well as the individual clips that I've saved. And it matches up to the data that's being sent to me by the FlightScope unit.
That's awesome.
It is
really intuitive.
The first time that I saw this, I was like, wow, right? So it is very, very cool. So JB, go ahead and hit one more. We'll put one more in the cloud here. And I'll go ahead and record this, and then I'll leave you be. All right, stop there. All right. So, JB, thank you very much for doing this. I'm going to go ahead and close out this call, and then I'm going to show the viewers what it looks like on the back end. So I was able to pull that up. I'm just going to pull up one thing here. So while we were in the live lesson here, you can see that these data points that, I'm sorry, the video clips that I had created with the data points are here. I can, in the middle of the lesson, go ahead and hit edit. Now, this is while JB and I would be talking to each other, right? So he's in Chicago, I'm in Orlando, and I've created video clips here, right? As soon as he makes his swing, the data points, but we can talk about like what is going on in the swing. So I have annotation tools, right, that are available to me as the coach to be able to talk to him about what is going on. And then when we see the data and understand how the ball flew, then we can talk about what changes he would need to make, you know, in his posture and rotation and his movement, right? Yeah. And this is all virtual, right? So it's like, to me, as somebody who taught in person for 25 plus years, to be able to have the ability to do this is a game changer.
Yeah, and especially just to have all these clips and everything for the viewer, the user to view, you know, past sessions, and to have all those lessons where they can recall and see what needs to be changed from their coach's recommendations, I think it's a huge game changer. Yeah.
And as a coach, the thing for me is that, like, I don't have to fumble through multiple apps and multiple devices.
Yes.
Right? So what we have built with the live replay technology is that all of the tools that I need are here on one screen and one device. I can record from here. Once I record, I can share screen with my student. He can see what I'm doing when I'm annotating, and we can have a conversation around that and share those videos live in real time without having to jump from app to app and from device to device.
Let's show like what the recent sessions look like from.
So I'm going to end here, and then we'll go into the past lesson here. So thanks, JB. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
So I'll close that call out, right? So once we go out of here and I go to lessons, and I can pull up the past lesson history, and so that video is still going to process there. Let me pull up. So this is, you can see here when I hit FlightScope shots and I go to shot 2 or shot 3, it will go through the video and pull that up in real time. I'm just trying to get the right one here. Past. So that's still processing there. Let me get to.
But it's incredible to see all those recent sessions that have taken place and that is stored in the cloud that you can go back and review every single one.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I will go to, let's go to, I'll show you, so here's one when I hit the FlightScope shots here, right? You can see I've got shot 1, shot 2, shot 3. If I did 30 shots during the course of the lesson, they would all populate across the bottom there, right? So it will scrub right to the point in the lesson when I hit shot 1, shot 2, and 3 on the tab, and it will go right to that point. And then I can actually watch that. This is the entire clip of the lesson that was saved to the cloud, right? So it's there, and you can see the data points that were populated at the bottom.
Can you hit one more?
All of them, not one just was saved on the tiles for the 6 there, right? So, and it goes right to that point in the video, and I can do that, right? The other thing that you can do is you can take those clips and annotate over the top of them if you so choose. But everything is here. It's saved under the student's file. For the coach to go back and review, as well as the student to be able to review on their end as well.
And as you, you as a PGA professional, we talked about data earlier, but in virtually the vast majority of your lessons, what data parameters are you really looking at the most when you are working with your students?
Well, so that depends on the student, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that can be varied, but I would say the ones that are most common are obviously the angle of attack, because that will relate back to their weight transfer, right? And if somebody hangbacks and flips, are usually up, right? The other one obviously is the club path, right? Coming over the top is a very common issue. So if we can measure that and create feels around creating a differentiation there, that will obviously make a difference there. Face to path, right? Because what the face is doing relative to the path is going to dictate where the ball is going to go. And is that how they move biomechanically? Is it how they put their hands on the club? But those are probably three. Of course, everybody wants to know, how far did it go?
Exactly.
And I can tell you that is the one that I look at the least. Because to me, distances is a product of what you're doing throughout the swing, right? And so, but yeah, I would say angle of attack, your face to path and the path of the club are probably the things that I use the most, but it can vary depending on the student.
Yeah, everybody wants to hit it further, but it's not just a quick fix to dramatically increase your distances by 20 yards. There's a lot of other components that you need to take note of throughout the swing, as far as these added data parameters that could ultimately potentially lead to a distance increase. But so often people just focus on carry, like I want to hit it further. Well, your angle of attack might not be right. Your dynamic loft, what you're presenting impact, might not be right. Your spin rates are way through the roof. So we need to change 3 or 4 of these areas in your game to ultimately get to that place where you are hitting it further.
Yeah, and I would say that you have what I call the doubters, right? And when I share with them, hey, by changing your grip and changing the position of the face at impact, you will get more distance. And they're like, no, I got to go work on, I got to do speed drills or something, right? And when we make a minor grip change and they can see through video and the data parameters from FlightScope that the face has gone now from being 2 or 3 degrees open to being square, and now they've picked up 15 yards with their driver by making a minor grip change, and then they are like, oh, I tell people, seniors come to me all the time and they're like, I hate the fact that I'm losing distance. And what should I do about it? Should I get a new driver? Do I need to work on my core strength, right? Well, it's 75 years old. Honestly, the one thing that we can do most often to make the biggest difference is doing things to help square the face, and grip is usually the key component to that.
Exactly. One question that was asked is, for people that might not be as tech savvy, might not be good with, multiple apps or something, how easy is it for somebody not very savvy to get into the app and get up and running with Golf Live?
Well, I can tell you that we have worked very hard to make the flow seamless, and we continue to push that every day. But I have students from high school and college age juniors all the way up into people that are even 75, 80, 85, right? And I understand that obviously the younger kids are more they're more comfortable, but it's not hard. It really isn't. And I will share a story with you of one of my clients who was 73 years old, and she said she wouldn't use this, right? And I said, just try it. She tried it and she loved it, and now we work together regularly and had no problems navigating it. And I have seen, it varies, but I have seen, like, I onboarded a coach on Monday night who onboarded 4 of his students on Tuesday and did 4 virtuals like in less than 24 hours after me showing him around the app. So it's not hard.
One of the other really interesting features within the Golf Live app was the live streaming aspect. Can you tell us a little bit more on how individuals can, view these live streams from these various coaches that are within Golf Live?
Yeah, so I mean, on the homepage where, there's my streams, which are the ones that I have created, but both on the coach and the consumer side, the public live streams are available for people to go and watch. So, you'll have my watch list, which is anything that you've either consumed in the past and watched that content, or anything that is, that is upcoming, right? So Zach Raines is out on the range today, right? And then any of the past ones that is not in my file, which I could go and access later after the fact. But it lives on your homepage, and we have coaches all over the country and all over the world, for that matter, who are conducting live streams on a daily basis. And the live streams really is our one-to-many platform, right? So where a coach can now have a reach to 100, 200, or 300, or even 500 consumers, right, in a 1-hour session. And it's really, it's powerful to be able to do that.
Now, do you have to already have worked with said coach to view the live stream?
No.
Or can you just, whichever one is live, and once everyone, piques your interest, you can go in and sign up and watch that?
No, public live streams is just that. It's a public live stream. So you do not have to be connected to that coach in order to be able to go and view their content.
Perfect. We had one question come in. This individual says, I use 2 cameras with my Mevo Plus. Will the coach be able to see both down the line and face on?
So multicam view is also on the roadmap, okay? Right now, what I do in my flow is I generally will start face on, depending on the environment. But I generally will start face on, take some clips, and then have them move their device to down the line. But multicam view, where you don't have to, where you can have multiple devices doing one feed, it's in the works.
And this user put in the chat, is the app using the camera on the Mevo Plus or our phone camera to get the live video?
On the student's device.
Yes. Going back through the Golf Live app, is there anything we missed as far as once a FlightScope, like a new Mevo Plus user that is watching this and says, okay, I'm going to download the app, what is the process from registration to getting up and running with their said coach?
It could be a few minutes. I mean, I saw an example of that this morning.
Yeah.
With a very high-level player who was working across the world with one of our coaches, where they were literally connected with their coach probably about 8 minutes before they actually went live. So it can be almost as instant as you want it to be. It literally is as easy as downloading the app, creating your profile, and as soon as you do that, you have access to your homepage like you see here, and then you can message your coach in the app, and like what I did with John there, I can start an instant lesson once I'm connected with a player by the push of a button, and as soon as that call is answered, then I, as the coach, have access to all the tools and technology that are embedded inside of Golf Live in order to be able to conduct that lesson. So it can be a matter of minutes if you want it to be.
That's pretty neat. Again, it's instantaneously when you are struggling, whether you're indoors or outdoors, and you really want to have a coach look at your swing. I mean, it's really quick to go from, all right, here's where I'm at. Please look at these videos or this recent data set I just had with my 7-iron, and go from that point and give me tips, drills, or advice on how to fix whatever I'm working on in my game.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that is hard to do, at least I always struggled with finding the time and access to the golf course, was to be able to go out on the golf course with the student.
Yeah.
Now, literally in an instant call, I can go and play 2, 3, or 4, or 9 holes with the student. Generally, they're 3 or 4 holes. We spend about an hour in the call. But because we all know as coaches, there are things that players will do on the range that it's different on the golf course, right? I mean, the old saying is like, why can't I take it to the golf course? Well, now you can take your coach to the golf course, right? You get your coach in your pocket on your phone, right? And and so we as coaches can then see what they are doing while they're actually on the golf course, view the coach and the player more seamless.
Now, when it comes to one of your new students, for example, what's the starting point when they send in videos? Do you want to see drivers straight off the bat, or do you say, okay, let's start out with some wedge shots, some iron shots, and then build upon that?
Yeah, not driver right out of the gate. I will say this. So I generally speak, it's like people will say I'm hitting my irons great. I've heard this thousands of times. I'm hitting my irons great, but I can't hit my driver.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, what you are doing with your 7-iron is exactly what you're doing with your driver. The difference is the driver is longer. It's moving at a higher rate of speed. It has less loft. And so that, off-center hits and things that you do with the 7-iron, they just show up more dramatically with the driver. And so the old adage of we need to walk before we run, I'm going to fix them so that they can actually hit the 7-iron with some consistency before we progress to the driver. But in the swing analysis, right, and I can bring this up here. So, this is a gentleman that sent me a couple of videos, right? And so you can do it. Basically, all the consumer has to do, and whether you're requesting from a new coach or you're working with your coach, you can go and drop in down the line and face on send it to the coach. They do the annotation and the voiceover, and then send it back. The individual can put a note in the bottom here, and then from there we progress. So this individual here, in his notes, he blamed it on his 10-finger grip, and what I quickly figured out was it wasn't his grip, it was how he was moving. And then we progressed from there to a live virtual call to analyze the video, so that we could have a two-way conversation. And then we progressed from there into a full lesson. So, and within a week, he did send me a message saying that his ball striking was better in 1 week.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Only took 1 week. Again, this will eliminate the guessing most golfers have to go through on a daily basis. We were discussing this earlier. I think a lot of amateur golfers, new golfers especially, go into that trap of, I'm struggling with my slice. Let me go to YouTube and look up how to fix my slice. And you got hundreds and thousands of different videos out there that may have some good information in it, but does it relate to you as the golfer? And then you're trying different feels, different swing mechanics, and then at the end of all those lessons, you're worse off than what you were in the beginning. So having a coach paired with a launch monitor that will give you real-time accurate data that is no guessing, you will understand exactly what's going on with your swing. Using the FlightScope data will pay dividends going forward than just an individual going to the easy quick route, 5 minutes of looking up YouTube to fix my fault.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier. I always ask, I do onboarding with my new clients, right? And so it's a coaching commitment. And what I mean by that is that I think the mistake that people make, whether it's watching videos and go practice for a couple of days and then they leave it alone, or they take 1 or 2 lessons and then they don't continue with the journey. It's a process, right? But it needs to be done on a consistent cadence over time, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to go to the range and hit balls for 2 or 3 hours multiple days a week. Small little pieces of information and feedback that you're implementing slowly over time is what's going to stick. And the ability to communicate with the students whenever they need us through the app, whether it's through those pre-recorded swing analysis, through a live call, in-person lesson, through a chat, sometimes, the juniors, a lot of times, when they're getting ready to go and play in a match, high school and college, and they struggle during their practice round the day before an event, they just need 15 or 20 minutes to jump on a live call to hear your voice tell them that it's going to be okay, right? And just confirm with them that they're going to be fine and give them that confidence. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing full-blown hours either, but we have to have constant and consistent communication between coach and player with forms of feedback that are telling them exactly what is going on, and we remove the guesswork. We're not playing darts in the dark.
And there is no limit to how many videos and data sets that you can upload to your coach within the platform.
No.
Perfect.
Nope.
We had one question that came in. Speaking of, high school, this individual James says, I'm a high school coach. Can I set my profile for my players only?
So the answer to that question is right now, today, no, but very, very soon. So I think what he's asking is that he wants to be able to create a community for his team that will be private. James, I'd love for you to reach out to us and learn more about that, because we're going to be able to help you here in the next couple weeks.
Now, within the app, is there any other golden nuggets that we should, as brand new users going into the platform, should take note of? Any other features that we should really just focus on when we get into this Golf Live app?
So I think that probably we've covered the swing analysis and the lessons, in person and virtual. The other thing that we have created that we're really excited about is My Library. And My Library is the ability for coaches to go and be able to share their content with their students, and literally creating, whether it's a swing analysis, lesson recordings, past live streams, or general attachments, which can be anything, doesn't even have to be a video. But you can go and create your content in there very, very easily by just, selecting the plus button here and then going and developing a new folder here. And then you can bring video in there. It can be a protocol around chipping, pitching, whatever, putting. You can title it and you can make that private, or you can make it public, and then the coaches can actually monetize for it if they want. If you make it public, you can put a price tag on that. So like there are a lot of coaches that will sell like say a 6-video series for $59 or whatever, and maybe it's about how to hit your driver further, whatever, right? So, but we have created that as well, where the monetization for the coaches to be able to create their own content library on Golf Live is there as well.
And we can touch on this briefly too. There's probably some individuals watching that are PGA professionals, instructors that are interested in getting in the Golf Live platform. So how is that process to onboarding to getting up and running?
So for a coach,
yes,
the first thing that I would do is I would go to the App Store if you have an iOS, or go to Google Play and download the app. That's step one.
Yep.
Download the app, create your coach profile. When you begin, you have the choice of creating a profile as a coach or a golfer. Start as a coach. Just put your general information in there. As soon as you create that profile, we will get a notification and we will reach out to you immediately for support. One thing that we are very passionate about and adamant about is that we have the best support of anybody. Like there's nobody that works harder than we do to support our coaches and our players. And you will hear from us within the hour.
That's awesome.
And then we will take you forward from there and show you everything you need to know. But step one, download the app and create your profile.
And one thing I think it is to be mentioned that, as a player getting into Golf Live, you don't have to be a highly skilled player to use Golf Live.
No.
We were talking about this on one of our calls previously. A lot of beginner golfers I found very interesting, just did not feel comfortable going out to a public setting outdoors because of fear of judgment, or even when I was a teaching professional before I even got into the golf launch monitor industry, speaking to some of those players, they felt like they were a burden out there to people, and they just didn't want that judgment of them missing a shot, like not even hitting the golf ball or just hitting it bad. But when we moved it to an indoor environment, it could look like it was completely, everything changed, where they felt more confident and they felt like they could be less stressed and be themselves indoors. And then we started seeing those improvements indoors, which made the outdoors improvements when we went outside a whole lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, screen golf has changed the world of golf for everybody. But to your point, those new golfers who there is a certain level of intimidation, right? If they're going to play golf or going to a driving range where there's other people around and other people can see what they're doing, they might not feel comfortable doing that. But going to a bay, right, and indoors, and now with the accessibility of being able to have one in your home, right? Whether it's your home or office, you put it in your garage, right? And it's just so accessible to do that, and then you can do it in a private setting, right?
Yes.
So now you take that, your setup indoors with your FlightScope monitor, match that up to the feedback that you can get from a coach on the app, and you're doing it in your own environment on your own terms, and you don't have to worry about anybody watching. Yeah, sure, it does make a big difference.
Exactly.
And removes that barrier of the fear of hitting a bad shot.
Exactly. Well, Alan, I think that's we hit on all the major key points that we wanted to hit out. Is there anything specific for people that are watching? First thing, download the app and get started. Set up your player profile. Also have a FlightScope Mevo Plus that you can use both indoors and outdoors as well. And then just, if your coach at your local club or around you is not on that platform, get in the platform as soon as possible. But, look for those coaches that are in the platform that can really spark your interest, and go with those coaches and start your sessions as soon as possible.
Yeah, if you go to golfliveapp.com,
Yep.
we have a support channel there where like I said, you'll get help right away from our support team. And whether you have a coach that you would like to work with on the platform, or if you're looking for a coach, we do that as well, right? But I think that what we have done is we have removed the geographical barriers of actually having to physically go see a coach, right? I had instance where I had a player who I was working with that was out at Pebble Beach, on the trip of a lifetime, and he played Spanish the first day, and he's playing Pebble the next day, but he struggled at Spanish, and he messaged me and he said, "Hey, can we get 20 minutes?" So we did a live call from the driving range at Pebble Beach, on Saturday morning before he went to the tee, and he texted me afterwards and he goes, "It was awesome," right? So those are the things that we can do in a virtual environment where the cadence of consistent connection, right, and the ability for the coach to be able to help the player regardless of where they are, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the message. And but yeah, golfliveapp.com, go there. and look us up there and reach out to support, and we will get you everything you need.
And we'll end on this one final question that the individual said, do most Golf Live coaches want the phone or iPad on a tripod at a specific position, example at shoulder height, or is it coach specific?
So I will say that some coaches may have variations in where they want the camera. I will tell you that within the industry, the standard is waist height, down the line is on the hand path, and face on is at the sternum, generally around 30 inches, give or take, right? The cool thing is that when you are on a live call, we as the coach can have you move it.
Yes.
So the pre-recorded videos, when those come in, sometimes we don't get what we want exactly, and we have to message back. On a live call, we have the ability to be able to have the people, move the device. But yes, in an ideal world, if the student has a tripod or some sort of stand to be able to put their device on, and whether it's an iPhone or an iPad, that doesn't matter. I would say that most of the golfers are using a phone.
Correct.
I use an iPad when I'm coaching just because I like more space, the larger screen, but that's a personal decision. And then if you're outdoors and you're in the wind, we highly recommend that you have AirPods or buds in because it removes the background noise. If you're indoors in a simulator, it doesn't really matter on that note. But the coaches can do that, and we do. If you do share swing analysis with a coach, like what I showed you there, what Carson did. There's little images that show people exactly what we're looking for, and there's a little info tab that you can push, and it kind of guides you into what the right angles and what the right positions are. But we want to be able to see the student from head to toe, and we want to be able to see the club at the top of the backswing.
And we discussed this earlier. There's no better time to start with Golf Live than right now. We were discussing that, as we are starting to move indoors, because a lot of golf courses up north are closing down and you're moving more toward indoor golf. Now is this time from, we were discussing like Thanksgiving to St. Patty's Day. This is where you really hone in your game to make those adjustments, to make those improvements. That way, when you get out on the course when it's springtime, you're not rusty. Like you are already prepped, ready to go to play your best golf going forward.
So it has been something that I have beat the drum on very loudly over the last few years. So being from New England, right, in the Northeast, the Boston area, when I first got into the business, it was, hey, I'm putting my clubs away and I'm taking the skis out, right? As we got into, November and December, people just didn't swing a golf club all winter, and they, they hit the slopes. Now, with the explosion of screen golf and the ability to have access to golf during the winter with monitors, right, with launch monitors and the software technology that's available to everybody now, there's no excuse. And I will tell you this, as a coach, 100%, I guarantee this, if you start to work on your game now in the fall and you do it on, it's just easier to make a deeper dive. There's no distractions. You don't have any events in front of you. The state open or the club championship isn't right there in front of you. You're not on the range and your buddy's not walking by, wanting to talk to you for 5 minutes. You can focus on what you're doing. And we can do a deeper dive during the course of the winter. And then when we get to March or April and then the season does start to unfold, you're going to be in a really, really good place. I have hundreds of examples of proof of that, where people go and play the best golf of their life when they started the process now. Exactly.
Well, Alan, thank you so much for taking us through Golf Live. I know everybody down that lens can benefit from getting in the platform and connecting with a coach and working on their game. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. For more information on FlightScope Mevo Plus, Mevo Gen 2, X3C, i4 rangefinder, go to FlightScope.com for all the information that is available. And go to Golf Live on your mobile devices, download the app, get started, register, connect with a coach, and you're going to be on your way to improving your game throughout the remainder of 2025 and 2026.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me, Jordan. It's a pleasure, and we look forward to moving forward, doing even more. We're just scratching the surface,
exactly.
Right?
We are excited about this integration, and it's only going to get better going forward. We're excited. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, and stay tuned for more webinars on our YouTube page. Hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube page, because that is where all webinars going forward are going to be held. So thank you so much, and stay tuned for the next one.